Hey y'all, Fat Man Outdoors. Hey, if you liked the video, click that like button and click subscribe so that you'll get notifications whenever we post new content. Appreciate you watching. This is the Fat Man. I'm gone. Hey y'all, Fat Man Outdoors. We're outside here this morning. I want to talk crankbaits. Okay, in early summer months, I'm talking about the 1st of June through the first week or so of July, when lakes have still got quite a bit of water left in them from the heavy spring rains. It's not real clear. There may even be some debris still floating, and the temperature is still rising. It hasn't peaked out. It's a strange time of year to fish. Okay, fish will move shallow at certain parts of the day to the extreme, and deep at certain parts of the day to the extreme. So it's almost like deer hunting. You got to catch them between the feed bed, the feeding area, and the bedding area in order to have your best chance of catching them. When they get into that deep water, they're harder to find. Okay, and when they're up in the shallow water, they spook easier because the water temperature's up a little bit, and their body reacts faster because they're cold-blooded. And the warmer the water is, the faster they can go. Well, that causes them to spook easy, and you got to take your time and be real gentle and so on and so forth. So what I wanted to do real quick was just go over crankbaits from shallow water all the way down to the deep stuff. And it's hot as it can be out here. It's only like 8:30, 9 o'clock this morning, and I'm in the shade over next to my barn, but it's still probably in the low 90s right now, and humidity is probably 85 or 90% at the moment. It's only going to get worse. They're saying the heat index today of like 110. So I'm going to try to talk fast, y'all try to listen fast, and we'll all get back to what we was doing, and Fat Man can get back to being in the house where it's not so hot. All right, anyway, starting in the very shallow water. Okay, this is a time of year when the right topwater lures can absolutely work miracles, and on largemouth and Kentucky bass especially. Somewhat on smallmouth, but smallmouth are a little bit more tedious about getting up in shallow water. But you can really put the hurt on some smallmouth or some largemouth and some Kentuckys. Really good lures to use are like the Whopper Plopper style that's got the propeller on the end. I got two of them together there. That's solid black. I have a lot of luck out of that solid black, and I also on Dale Hollow have caught a lot of largemouth and Kentuckys on, I guess this is the color called Fire Tiger. Now, these aren't Whopper Plopper brand. They're exactly alike. Okay, the black one is an actual authentic Whopper Plopper. The Fire Tiger is China made, and it costs $2. Okay, go to Walmart and you'll see the price difference. But those are good baits. Okay, and you also have baits like stick baits. Okay, and I really like the stick bait style, the spook style, when there's just absolutely no wind at all. If it's just completely flat like glass, that to me that seems when they do the best. Then there's styles like this, like the popper style. It's got like a hole cut in the top like a flute. When you pull it, water shoots through there, and it actually sprays water up, and they make a tremendous amount of noise, and they're a heavy bait. This is about a 3/4 ounce bait. On a good reel, you can throw one of these a mile, and then you can chunk it, and you can hear it for a long ways, and it'll attract bass from long distance away. Some larger topwater baits. If I'm fishing Lake Cumberland, and I know the striper are still hitting early in the morning or even at night, and they're hitting on the surface, I have some Whopper Plopper style lures here. Man, those hooks from China are absolutely laser sharp. They will bite you in a minute. Woo. That are like this, that are huge, that are about 5 or 6 inches long, and I got several real good colors. I like this one, and I really like this one. I don't know if you can see how that shimmers, but they got some great colors. And this one right here, I hooked the biggest striper I ever hooked in Lake Cumberland with it, but I didn't get him to the boat. He pulled the hook. But that's black and silver with an orange belly. I really like that one. Now, also you can use jitterbug type lures when you're fishing topwater early in the morning. And I like the jitterbug if I'm throwing in a round cover, because the jitterbug, it kind of keeps itself held up out of the water just a little bit when you're moving it, and it has a less chance of getting hung up on stuff that's just under surface. So if I'm in an area where I know there's a lot of trees, downfalls and stuff, and I can throw right up in those, and that jitterbug works best there. Now, giant stick baits, again, like in Lake Cumberland, a place where I'm going to fish where there's stripe. I'm trying to get these out without having to take 2 days to do it. I like to use these big giant stick baits. These are not topwater baits, but these will only go about a foot or so underwater. And you'd be surprised the size of fish. I've caught fish on these, using them like a jerk bait, that was almost the same size as the lure. Depending on time of the year, depending on food supply, you'd be shocked just what you can catch on them. Also, lures like this, okay, and these are, I guess you would call these a glide style lure. I'm trying to figure out a way to hold these so my big fat hand don't block. They're jointed in the middle, and they just have a eye at the front, no lip, and they will sink. But you can fish these fast, and what I like to do with these is I'll actually reel and pull and then reel down to them, and then reel and pull, reel down to them. And it kind of gives them an up and down motion, almost like the fish is sick or something's wrong with it. And if you get it timed just right, you can get it just to break the surface before it goes back down. And it seems like most of the time, if I can get them timed to doing that, and I'm in a place where there's a lot of flat area, you know, where there's a big area of water that's 4 to 6 feet deep, that when it breaks the surface and then it goes back down, when I let it fall back down, as I'm reeling to it, as it's falling, that's when you'll get the hit. Now that's pretty much what I do as far as topwater lures. Shallow midwater, okay? it's hard to explain what I'm saying, but what I'll use is smaller crankbaits that'll run down 3, 4, 5 feet. Okay, I don't want them to go any deeper than that, and I'm going to throw, I think it's perpendicular, there's no parallel, sorry. I'm a redneck, man, give me a break, that's $40 words. But anyway, parallel to the shore, so I'm going to keep the boat close to the shore, and I'm going to throw off the point of the boat, and I'm going to try to stay as close to the bank as I can, and I'm going to bring that lure right up alongside. And a lot of times what you'll have is a bass that's hidden around the side of a stump, or under a little fall down, or down in a crack of a rock. And when that lure comes over and it's in that upper water column, they'll come up and take that bait. It's a really cool hit, and you can get a lot of different sizes. These are really cool colors. I like to use is this yellow, chartreuse, and green. With these lures, something I've learned, it's very important to make sure they have good eyes on them. You want them to have bright, reflective eyes. I don't know why that's such a big difference, but it makes a world of difference with these particular type of lures. You could probably ask somebody that knows a lot more about fishing than me that could tell you that. Also, for this type of fishing, these little bumblebee lures like this, that's what I call them, as bumblebees. I don't know what else you would call them. I like the chartreuse with the orange bellies. I like the speckled. I've got some here that are just absolutely peppered with different color. I hope you can see those. And I also like the blue, which I have some here that are not exactly the same as those lures. If I can get them out. Bear with me, guys. I'm trying to do this as a fly, so you know, that color and that style lure. They're just a small lure. They only run about 2.5 feet underwater, 2.5, 3 feet. And if you catch fish in that upper water column before the sun gets up too high, and they haven't decided yet that it's going to get too warm on them there, you can catch fish with those. Now, what I have rigged up here for the next level is the midwater column, okay? Now, what I consider the midwater column is anything from 4 feet to 8 feet. And I'm going to hold this lure over there where you can kind of get a better look at it. Now, these are made something like a small fat A, They run 3 to 6 feet, right around in that area, but they have a lot of rattle to them, and they have a really tight wobble when you throw these lures, and that's what I like about them. Seems like that attracts fish that are active and they're in warmer water. They want that real fast wobble. It's a bait. It resembles a bait fish that's trying to get away, but he can't. He's got something wrong, and he's trying like crazy to swim fast, but he can't. So he's easy pickings. When I'm going to use plugs, I want lures that resemble bait fish for that water column. You can see the colors of that. Kind of looks like a shad maybe that's wounded and bruised up. I don't know why, but at that depth, it seems like I have better luck out of lures that are closely resembling actual bait fish. Shad, bluegill, minnows, trout, other bass, you know, just whatever might be in the water that in that area that they're feeding off of that are fingerling, you know, bait fish size. Now, for the deeper depths, there's 2 ways to reach the deeper depths, okay? Number one is you can take a bait like this one. I'll hold it over there in front of the camera if I can, get it to stop swinging. With a great big bill. You see how that bill is like 1/3 of the length, or maybe even half the length of the lure. If you got that great big bill and you get them tuned right, now some of these sometimes you got to work with that hook, the line connection at the front to get them to run straight, okay? But if you get these running right, these will run anywhere from 7 to 14 feet, depending on the brand you got and the style of the bill. The biggest thing about these is speed of your retrieve. If you get the speed of your retrieve too fast with these lures, then you're going to they're going to want to run off, because they just can't push the water out of their way as they're pulling, and so what it does is it causes them to try to find less water pressure, you know, and they'll want to pull off. But once you learn the right speed to crank these lures, you can get them down, keep your rod tip low, so that you can help them to stay down, because you give them that much more control over the situation when you're cranking them if they're not trying to pull against that loaded rod as much as well. With this depth fishing, I like anything that's highly reflective. If you can see on this lure, it has they're pretty doggone reflective. I hope you can see where we're back in the shade, but that gold on that thing is really, it shimmers a lot. And you can get, I have some shimmer shads that reflect really well, and for that depth, that's what I want. I want something that when I'm cranking that lure, that the sun hits it just a little bit, that it's going to reflect that sunlight, and the fish will be able to see it real easy. Now, this is a countdown lure that I'm going to show you right now. It's a jerk bait, but it's a countdown. It'll fall down, so you can get it down into those deeper parts, and you can see that thing is crazy reflective with that blue and the chrome. At the deeper depths, I love blue and chrome, and I love crawdad color, but I want it reflective. So if I'm going to use crawdad color lures, I want it to have something reflective on it. And again, at this depth, eyes are critical. You don't want something that's just a dull painted eye. You want something that's got a reflective, some kind of eye on it that shows up good. Whether you have to paint it chartreuse or something, do whatever you got to do. Most of the lures I have good reflective eyes. Now here is another color that I like to use in the deeper water, and show that to you if I can get it to be still for a minute. Stop spinning. Now that is an Ozark Trail countdown jerkbait. I don't remember the color, but they're always at Walmart. That color is. Every time I go in, I see them, and I've caught a lot of fish on that color of lure. But for my favorite, at depth that I want to get down to, say 6 to 8 feet. Okay, I like this lure and this color is probably my favorite. That's probably my go-to lure in Fire Tiger. That is a flicker shad. Now this thing, the action that it has, it makes really wide kicks, I guess you could call it, when you're just on a regular retrieve, or once you get it down to where you want it, because it is a suspending bait, and it will, when you just pop it, it'll make big wide kicks, and it really attracts fish from a ways off, and it does have a good rattle to it. This is probably my go-to lure when I'm fishing deeper water. That's going to be, like I said, 7 to 12 feet. It's a hard thing to get lures that are consistently, that's going to stay down to depths below 12 feet, unless you're going to use a lot bigger rigs, you know, bigger rods, bigger reels, so that you can hang, because you're going to have a lot bigger lure, a lot bigger bills on those lures, or you're going to have to use countdowns. Myself personally, if I can pick up the weed bed, or I can pick up the edge on a fish finder that I know about the depth I want to go, I'd rather use countdown, to be honest, because I don't have to worry if I've got a lure that's reaching that depth, even though it says it will, but I can count that lure down, and I know I'm going to get pretty much right in the ballpark. Now, I have a couple of extra lures here. I say a couple, there's probably 400 hard lures, plugs laying here, that I just wanted to show to you the different styles. This is lures like this. It's got the square bill and the little short fat body. These lures wobble really well, and they will dig good with that short bill. This one will go down to about 6 or 7 feet. And a lot of times that'll do everything you need to do. This time of year, this is late June, you can use lures like these that look like a bass, a young bass, or ones like this that are a lot like a shad this time of year, the threadfin shad. And there's just so many lures, guys, that you could pick. Here's ones that are extra deep diving. You'll notice they have, I don't know if you'll be able to tell it from my distance, but the bill on these has 2 different levels. It comes out some, then it dives down again. This lure will run to about 14 foot. And to be honest, on crankbaits, that's about as far as you're going to need to go. If you're going to have to get down deeper water than that using crankbaits, then you're going to probably need to get yourself some good jigs and fish with those, because it'll be a lot less work and a lot less aggravation for you to get down to those deep depths using swim baits, using jigs, using creature baits to get down on the edge of those weed beds, and you can drop shot them, or you can Texas rig them, or a lot of times you can just wacky rig them if you need to fish them real slow and throw down on those weed beds, and you'll do pretty good. But I just wanted to show you real quick something that we were talking about, those glide lures, and I have ones here that I really like for largemouth. Okay, that's made just like a perch. The tail on these is fiber. They'll flex. It feels just like touching a fish's tail. So if a fish bites these, they don't get spooked by something hard back there and let go. It feels natural to them when they bite them. These things are noisy, and like again, they sink. So as soon as they hit the water, you need to start cranking them. But if you're out over open water humps, you're on the edge of weed beds, you're fishing isolated cover in the middle of channels in a back creek, something like that, where you know the water depth is above 6 or 7 feet, where you don't have to worry about getting on the bottom, and you can fish these and bring them right by that structure or right by the edge of that grass bed. These glide type lures, they'll catch fish. There's a drawback. If you go to a bait shop, or if you go to Walmart, or if you go online and order these, you're going to pay big money for them. Some of these glide lures are 30 and 40 bucks a piece. I bought these from Temu for $2.99, and they run true. They catch fish. I've caught fish on all of them. I've got 5 or 6 different colors. I've caught fish on every one of them. And any way you can save money, guys, save it, because that way when you can save money, you can spend more money going fishing. And it doesn't look like you are, because your wife thinks you're still spending the same amount of money even though you're getting your lures a lot cheaper. Yeah. So maybe you can save up and get a better fish finder. Which, guys, if there's anybody out there that's got one that would like to donate it to the channel, that has bought a new one and they don't need the one they had, the one I've got is about 106 years old. It's one of the little Humminbird 365s, and I really need some better fish finder. The only thing mine's about good for now is just show the speed of the boat and the water temperature, and that's it. The transducer doesn't really pick up too well, and sometimes you can't turn the screen off, sometimes you can't turn the screen on. So unless I'm trolling, I don't even really put it out often. I just try to read the lay of the land and hope the bank gives me a good idea of what's going to be underwater. Most of the time it does. But like I said, if there's somebody out there that's got one they'd want to donate, feel free. I ain't going to cry. I'd sure appreciate it. Well, guys, that's my lay down on fishing with hard baits. In early summer, they work. They really do. If you fish a place like I fish mostly on Del Hollow, early summer, June and the first part of July can be a struggle. And now, because we've got a lot more boat traffic, that folks that came over from Cumberland when they were working on the dam and never went back to Cumberland, so now we have a lot more boat traffic, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. And I'm going fishing again in a couple of more days, try to see if I can't get some. We just got done doing one video. Man, I fished hard, 6 hours and 97 degree, 95% humidity. One strike on a swim bait, and I think honestly that was a bluegill, and he just didn't hit the hook, he just hit the tail. I mean, we fished everywhere. Shallow water, deep water, structure, isolated structure, ledges, grass beds. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to go out and I'm going to concentrate more this time on parallel bank fishing with the smaller crankbaits on spinning gear, and probably going to fish the channel ledges once the sun gets up and it starts warming up and it gets above 85 degrees. And going to stand out there and dive for a little while and see if we can't run some deep crankbaits and get in on them. But we'll just have to see and go from there. Y'all, I hope to see you in the next video. May God bless you. This is the Fat Man. I'm gone.